Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new, welcome. Please don't forget to comment, like and subscribe. And today we are going to be talking about the pros and the cons of occupational therapy. So if you'd like to see more of this video, just stay tuned. We are going to start with the good things first, right? We're going to start discussing the pros of occupational therapy. Number one, huge demand. Because of the nature of occupational therapy and because you can work in so many different areas and so many different environments, there's actually a high demand of occupational therapists. There's a lot of jobs available for occupational therapists, and it's a profession that is a necessity, to be honest. And it is a profession that helps propel people forward. Therefore, it's one that is definitely in high demand because of its diversity in terms of where you can work and with how many people you can work. You can work with neonatals all the way to geriatrics. Second is you get to meet new people. So for me, I wasn't a very extroverted person, and after studying occupational therapy, I've actually met a lot of people. I'm required to meet different kinds of people. I'm required to go into different kinds of communities. So I get to see a lot of people and I get to understand a lot of ways in which people live their lives. So if you are interested or want to know a lot of people and meet different cultures, definitely occupational therapy is one of the professions you can actually meet a lot of new people. Number three is broad work setting. So as an occupational therapist, we have discussed this before, you can work anywhere. You are equipped with skills of life, basically. So you can work in a hospital setting, you can work in a rehab setting, you can work at a clinic, you can work at a school, you can work in an office, you can work as a traveling OT who does home visits. There's actually a broad work setting for occupational therapists. Number four is flexibility. I think I've mentioned flexibility before, but flexibility is the ability to work in different settings and the ability to work with a wide range of people. You get to work with people who are not disabled and people who are disabled. You get to work with managers, you get to work with communities, you get to work with a lot of people, and you can work in different settings. So it's very flexible. Also, just speaking about flexibility, I mean, you can work in anything. You can work in vision, you can work in hand therapy, you can work in burns, you can work wherever you want to work, you can work. So the fifth is job satisfaction. A lot of times occupational therapists actually get a lot of job satisfaction. Why? Because they're able to change lives. They're able to make a difference in somebody else's lives, and that brings a lot of fulfillment, and at times it brings a lot of job satisfaction. And because you understand your value and that you have value to give on a daily basis, and you see that value in your clients, and your clients come back and they tell you, you know, I wasn't able to do 1, 2, 3, now I'm able to do this. That provides a therapist with fulfillment and job satisfaction. Future scope. So occupational therapy is one of the professions that I think is going to last forever and ever and ever. And it's forever evolving, it's forever becoming better in terms of understanding the northern side of occupational therapy, and also coming down to South Africa and understanding the way of people in South Africa or African communities. So I think it's still a very new profession in terms of people being able to access it, So I think it's definitely going to be looked at and focused on, and the scope of it is actually going to increase because there's other perceptions, or there's other cultures and community and contexts that we can learn from and actually build the scope of occupational therapy. So I think occupational therapy has a lifespan for life. There's so many things that you can go into. You can go into assistive device world. The assistive device world is actually such a big world that occupational therapists can go into. So the scope of occupational therapy and the future of occupational therapy is still very, very new and very, very bright. And you get a lucrative salary. So I know that mostly in America, occupational therapists are paid really well. In South Africa as well, I don't think that the pay is I don't know, to be honest, but I do feel like if we were remunerated better, it would encourage people more because of the amount of work that we do. So in terms of a salary in South Africa, maybe there can be a little bit more work done in terms of considering all the work that occupational therapists have to do and how emotionally draining it can be. So maybe we can try and see how much these therapists in America are getting and try to reach for the stars. But it is something that can keep you going, but you would definitely have to get, like, if you have one means of income, you would have to get a second means of income just so that you are a little bit more comfortable. So that's what I'll just say. Moving on to the cons of occupational therapy. Number 1, extensive studying required. Occupational therapy is actually a very difficult degree, and what they have done is that they have condensed the work so much that it puts a lot of pressure on the students because they try to cover as much as possible. You do need to actually study a lot and be well prepared to study. So you are definitely going to do your undergrad, which is an honors degree in South Africa, and then you can get to choose whether you want to do a master's or a PhD. Studying is just part of it, and it is extensive and it is extremely stressful, but it comes with wanting to be an occupational therapist. Number 2, risk of infection. So if you are working at a hospital settings, yes, we go through infection control and making sure that you're able to keep yourself safe and protected. But there are moments and times where you are dealing with patients and accidents can happen, and there can be accidents with fluids and blood. So the risk is there, but you are equipped with the necessary knowledge of how to prevent those risks, or if you are in that situation, how to overcome that situation and what you need to do. Number 3, misbehavior of patients. So a lot of times, because we work with psychiatric patients, or sometimes we work with kids who are very naughty, you might get a little bit of backlash from patients, or just resistance from patients, or just socially inappropriate things. So it depends on the clients that you're working with. Sometimes, because of our cultural differences and the fact that mostly occupational therapy is a female-dominated profession, when you are working with males, it does become a little bit uncomfortable, and you have to tread carefully on, the cultural standpoint and where you can maneuver, and where there's places where you can maneuver about a topic and there's places where you can't. and especially like in terms of fulfilling roles, and you are speaking to African male who does not feel the need of him cooking and cleaning and doing all of those things, and you can get that backlash or that resistance in terms of that. And then when we're talking about social inappropriate behavior, it's mostly with our psych patients who we are still teaching them and providing them with the skill of how to be socially appropriate. So you will get a lot of misbehavior from patients, but you need to be careful in how you approach people culturally and how you approach very acute psych patients. But you will be equipped with all of that, and you will be able to handle it. It's physically demanding. So occupational therapy is very, very physical. You have to help the patient physically at times by helping them transfer, by helping them move, by helping them stand up, by helping them roll, by playing with the child. So occupational therapy is very physically demanding and requires you to be physically fit for you to be able to handle the requirements, especially if you're working in a physical setting and you're working with people with strokes or people with spinal cord injuries that need you to help them physically so that you are able to show them ways on how to do things differently or how to do things now that they are wheelchair bound, helping them transfer from the chair to the floor to the bed. You need to be able to have that physical capacity as well. And playing with kids is very, very, very physically demanding because kids run around, they are active. So it's very important for you to also be able to keep up with the physical demands of the job. Number 5, working long hours. So most of the time, a lot of therapists that I know that work in high stress level settings usually work long hours and sometimes have to take work home. So it depends on your setting, and it definitely depends on you as an individual if you are into working at long hours or you are into taking work home to be able to complete your admin, to be able to complete your planning, your activities. So it's very important for you to know that there will be a lot of long hours, especially when you are studying and also if you are working in a high stress level environment. And last but not least, number 6, which is emotionally challenging. Occupational therapy is very emotionally challenging. You are working to strengthen the body, empower the mind, and transform the soul. That work is not easy. You need to be able to encourage your patient who has recently gotten into an accident and now they are wheelchair bound. You need to help that person learn how to take care of themselves again, learn how to do things differently, learn how to maneuver their own communities differently. Their whole way of taking public transport is different. Their ability to get to work is different. So there's a lot of things that you need to consider, and you need to understand that it is very emotionally draining, and it is something that comes with the job, but it is something that also allows you to get that job satisfaction at the end of the day. So definitely, as an occupational therapist, I feel in any sphere that you work in, if you're working with a very sick child, if you're working with a very sick adult, if you're working with a very sick geriatrics, it will take a toll on you emotionally because you're dealing with human beings, you're dealing with quality of life, and you're dealing with transforming somebody to make them think positively and make them as strong as possible so that they are able to face the challenges that will meet them in everyday life. So that's where I will leave it. I hope you enjoyed my pros and cons. If there's any other pros and cons that you can think of that I haven't mentioned, definitely comment about them. Let's have a discussion. Let's talk about this. Thank you for watching my video. Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And I will definitely see you in my next video.